Everything is family is coming in. Love it. Shemek,
Are you
what's up,
still
brother?
driving?
Hey, Eric, how's it going? Hey,
Everything is
You're still
can you hear me?
driving? Yes, we can.
Yeah, I am. I have last third 3 hours, 20 minutes for to get to Colorado Springs, and then I'll be resting for a few days.
bro,
Yeah.
you gotta come. Since you're driving so much, you gotta come up to Edmonton, Alberta.
Who knows, you know? Who knows where the wind blows?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was
great
just
to
sharing.
see.
So,
I was just sharing like a foot of snow fell down overnight. It's so amazing here. It's so beautiful. I was just having coffee and looking out the window and just enjoying the snowflakes falling. It's so beautiful.
That's
Do you
cool.
guys do you snowboard or anyone here in community
Yeah,
snowboards or skis?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
snowboard.
do.
nope.
And he's gone.
Our biggest mountain is 300 meters.
Yeah, that's a hill.
Yep,
Huh.
and it's 300 kilometers away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
But
I'm going to Salt Lake City. Apparently, they've been getting snow, so hoping for some snowboarding action in next week. So
Mm.
fingers crossed.
That's cool. Oh, I miss snowboarding. It's been a minute.
Yeah. The winter time is a special time, I think. For me, it's something that I used to run away from in the past, and now I realize how much magic is in the winter, in the season.
Absolutely.
Learn
What do
to
you
appreciate.
like ab what do you like about it the most right now?
I think for me, the feeling of peace, there's especially now when the snowflakes are falling and you wake up and it's just like it's not touched outside yet. It's just it's complete peace. There's nothing out there, no driving, no nothing. You look out on the street, it's still like these big hills of snow. Nothing is going on. The snowflakes are falling. It's just complete nature still, natural. And then there's this just place of presence, there's this magic falling down and then when you go out to the wind to the mountains, or when I go out to the mountains and I'm snowboarding, uh there's this place where you're just totally by yourself, but on this huge mountain, and there's so many people around you, but you still feel like by yourself. And you're not by yourself because you're with nature, but it's just there's this magnificence in it. It's amazing.
And peace as well. Because
100%.
until someone whooshes by on the snowboard and splashes you with some snow, you are able to fully enjoy that moment of peace.
Hmm.
Completely get behind that.
Yeah.
my
Mart
last
Ronald,
experience,
how are you?
well, I'm good. My last skiing experience is, I think, 20 years ago, but I can relate to your story,
Mm.
and I like to go big slaloms. So when you go off the mountain on a steep mountain with when the wind is going up, you fly down the mountain. It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
very serene and very um, totally in the flow because you need to pay attention because otherwise you're gone. So
Yep.
I always like to start last and finish first. I only get passed by the little ones. They go straight down. Love that. Well, I would love to surf, so maybe I would go for a snowboard.
Dude, surfing is so beautiful as well. When I was in Australia, I was learning how to surf. And I attempted it in Costa Rica. And honestly, dude, it's being on the water, that's like a whole new level, I believe. It's really being part of the ocean. It's really feeling the energy of the ocean with you, playing with it, playing with the energy, connecting to it. I think there's so much magic in surfing as well.
And I was referring to windsurfing because I'm old school, but I did surf last year.
We don't have the tidal flow to support it that much.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Jesus, you stole my screen background.
What did you say?
We're all one.
You're on the same planet.
Yes.
Yay!
We're in the same space.
We have conquered the world. We've conquered the earth.
Yay!
Our
Oh,
mission
so good.
needed. We conquered the earth.
Yeah, we're taking over this planet.
New world order. Yes.
Yay!
How are you doing, Ross?
I'm okay. I still got a sore throat. I think I got like something going on in my left ear. It feels a bit infected and my throat is a bit sore. I probably spent too much time talking this week. So,
How was your meeting with that woman that was willing to sell her rehab center?
oh yeah, she cancelled on me, so she's moved it to Sunday.
To someday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
I heard someday instead of Sunday.
Yeah, me too.
me too. Me too.
So
I was like, that's very specific.
yeah, we meet someday is the new form of like deflection.
Yeah.
Someday we can.
Someday we're
Playing
gonna
by the
go
universe,
snowboarding.
playing with the universe. One day when she's ready.
Yes.
Yeah, but going a bit about the topic of winter and stuff, I also really like being on, near, around water as well. And winter is actually usually one of my preferred seasons. Just because it
Why?
also encourages environments that I enjoy a lot. Because suddenly you're inside with a bunch of people and you have time for some things suddenly that you didn't have time for otherwise.
Like?
Playing games, staying close together, blah, blah, blah.
So the winter squeezes everyone in, you say? Well, not a snowboarders. Snowboarders goes out.
Yeah, but still after the snowboard day, usually, at least for me, when I am up in the hill, we go to sit by the fire or, sit in the hot tub or, go out for dinner all together. So it still creates this camaraderie for sure.
I have a question. What do you call a hill?
A mountain. So Ronald will see our hill at Finance in Whistler in February. Those are our hills.
And how high is the hill in your?
They're
It's not
very
very
high.
Very high.
They're very high. Our mountains are huge. Our Rocky Mountains here,
Rockies,
in
yeah.
Canada are quite big. I don't know I can't tell you the meters. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how
Well,
to.
I ask us for a hill for you us is for you guys like that's just a bump.
Yeah, probably.
So
Yeah.
here in Colorado and Salt Lake, I mean mostly Colorado, you snowboard at roughly around you can snowboard at roughly around 12,000 feet. So I think that translates like 3,000 meters.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
those are the same mountains. So the Rocky Mountains, they go down towards Colorado all the way from Alberta. So they move. Those are the same mountains.
Yeah, they're all about 4,000 meters.
yep. But it's
3 to
it's
4,000.
a pretty interesting snowboarding, or like especially the the first few days when you go back into the season. You go down a run and like halfway there you're out of breath because
Yeah.
your body is still adjusting.
Yeah.
It's definitely a great experience. Good for the body, good for the soul.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can ski.
Or snowboard. Or you can just buy one of those apples and just slide down, that you put under your butt and then you just
I thought you were talking about Apple Vision. You just put the one on here and then.
Get in
that's
front of
one
the
way to do
fire.
it.
Hey guys, I'm snowboarding.
Put on the fan, open the window in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's
is
really
is Banff
better.
better skiing than in Whistler?
Banff is also amazing. It's closer to Banff is. I would say yes because it's closer to my house. But Whistler is where we had the Olympics. We also had them
Yeah.
in Banff actually in 1988. So I guess they had them both. But um, yeah, I think it just depends. Banff is a really special place. It for me it's kind of like a small village, a small world village. Uh, Lake Louise, Banff, it's really a special place. It's 3 hour drive from my house, so super close.
Mhm.
And Whistler is an hour flight. So it's a little bit different, but it's also super beautiful.
Yeah, I was in Whistler for finance last this year.
Yeah. Ronald's
You guys,
going
does
there.
anyone? Sorry. I was just gonna say, does anyone here cross country ski?
I've done it
Nope.
before.
Yeah, I want to try that. I don't really
Yeah.
like going down hills.
Oh, I
That's
love to go
definitely
down hills. Only downhill, not uphill. That's very difficult. You get
Oh
tired.
no, I want to go across like flat, like.
Cross
Yeah,
country
but
is different.
that's very hard. Very you need to be in a very good condition.
No, I mean it's like walking and experiencing the snow across country, right? So
Yeah, flat is okay, but when you go a little bit up, that's
yeah, I mean, but it's all the challenges are okay. They just push us.
Okay. Yeah, I want to try that because I don't like going down hills.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've tried a few times going down hills, but I don't like it.
Are your thoughts to go maybe to finance as well, Ross, this year or no?
Probably if I can. Yeah, I think so. If
Nice.
I renew, I'm not sure if I'm going to renew yet.
Yeah.
Because it's only Platts you can actually go at Platts and Lions, right? So
Right.
you have to be in
Yeah.
Platt.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing last year. Like, it was so cool. But
What was your biggest takeaway?
two biggest takeaways, I think, was one was the power of AI and how it's going to revolutionize us in a positive way. And the second biggest one was, hopefully this doesn't offend anyone, but how overinflated and much of a bubble and bunch of bullshit our global economy is right now. And that it's not sustainable. And that we're probably facing at some point like a 1929 massive global economic correction.
Yes, bring it on. The deep winter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How can we protect us against that situation?
Keep hold of cash. Cash is king. Make as much cash
Oh.
as you possibly can so that when winter comes, you can buy as much of it as possible.
Have you seen what's going on with the cash in Venezuela
Exactly.
or somewhere else where the cash is laying all over the floor and nobody accepts it anymore?
Yeah,
Wow.
invest in Bitcoin. Invest your cash into Bitcoin.
Yeah, but Bitcoin is so high right now, no?
But it's gonna
Bitcoin
keep
will-
going.
But
But when-
what high is very like like if the currency is going down, what is high then? If there is nowhere else to put.
Especially because of the value of it, right? So it's going to continue going up. It's going to continue going. Even in 2020 it was 7,000, now it's 100,000. So it's going to continue to rise, and it doesn't matter if you have a whole Bitcoin or if you have a piece of it. But that's the easiest way to invest your capital or existing cash flow, so that as a result, you can store the value and then protect yourself as it continues to burst. And then, hopefully with enough education, empowerment, and communication with these capital firms, energy sectors, hopefully enough of them start to recognize the power of backing it with our global energy. Like yesterday, they were talking about the power of the US dollar affecting the oil prices, and how the oil prices, these oil companies are constantly looking at the value of the dollar and the level of inflation. And so if they stopped worrying about the value of the dollar and started focusing on the value of the resource, the natural resource, then they would be able to back it with the energy of Bitcoin. But they don't think about it in terms of power and electricity. They think of it in terms of a currency that is inflated and manipulated. And so the consciousness associated with the eloquence of the economics associated with natural resources dysfunctional from my perspective. And if we're able to back it, just like in the past, with some sort of when the US dollar was backed by gold or the petrodollar, like these things are valuable to be backed by natural resource. And then you can back, and I've said this thousands of times on here, so you guys are probably listening to a broken record, maybe. I don't know. But the point is that if we recognize the value can be created. Hello.
It's my daughter bringing me some
Are
food.
you guys gonna do David Destiny or what?
No, she just said she doesn't want to do it.
Just on that though, I completely agree that like you know, in the old days, right, everything had a value that it was pegged to, and you know, I was actually telling my dad this earlier. I believe that, you know, we've lost track of our economy because there is no substance, and you know, it's all speculation, right? It's all hype and inflation, and so that's why there needs to be a recession to make an adjustment economically worldwide on that. But you know, do we believe then firmly that Bitcoin is recession proof? Or will it have a slight impact, but still will withhold majority of its value and not have as much of a depression impact as like stocks or bonds or treasury notes will have?
Well, if it's associated, if you think of the treasury notes, right? What are they associated with?
Productivity of a government.
Thank you. And the productivity of a government has most of the patterns of the past has been associated with what type of banking?
Right, currency against gold.
Even deeper, it's all centralized, right?
Yeah.
So if we have a centralized backing like the Federal Reserve, for example, that's actually neither federal nor is it a reserve, it's just a printer, which most banks in the world are based off of that centralized system because they've modeled what the US has done. And how does that make a treasury bond any more valuable than a printed piece of paper from the Federal Reserve?
No, it's not.
Exactly. So from that perspective, what can we utilize to store energy, meaning in this case money specifically, that's something decentralized, scalable, and secure, because that's what the Bitcoin trilemma offers.
Yep.
And then as a result, it starts to cultivate a meaningful change for our future generations so that they don't have to fight the offset of inflation, because what really we are doing, or our predecessors have done, is they've borrowed against the future. So by storing value with the existing presence of the energy of the planet, like natural resources, for example, we're able to store energy and not borrow or have present value with what existing resources are for the future. There's a difference. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense to me. I completely get it, but I do believe personally that there will probably be, in a world economic recession, there will be an impact on Bitcoin because a lot of people who have Bitcoin who have leveraged in the real world stock market, right, kind of thing. Sorry, that's the wrong way of putting it. I mean, like in the stock market, right? And if I have bought Bitcoin and the stock market tanks, I'm going to have to sell my Bitcoin, which is going to drop the value, right?
Why?
What
Why?
if the exchange?
Why do you have to sell your Bitcoin?
Yeah.
If
Well, because
if the stock market is crashing, why do you have to sell your Bitcoin? Your Bitcoin just goes
well,
up.
I mean, because a lot of people usually over leverage themselves, right? So then they have no money for like day-to-day expenditure. So if you have no money, cash to go to the supermarket, because most supermarkets still don't accept Bitcoin, right?
But that's
And I
the
need
thing.
cash. I'm going to sell
What if?
Bitcoin to make cash to the supermarket.
But that's the thing. What if we start focusing not on selling the Bitcoin, but focusing on exchanging Bitcoin for resources and using
Oh,
a layer 2, 3 system that allows us to exchange Bitcoin with other values so that we receive more business operations are starting to receive. So we start building the infrastructure, which is already happening, by the way.
I know.
So that we
Slowly.
can.
So this is
So
this
that
is Ross, what decentralization means is like what we gonna make out of it. It's not something. There is no they. This is us.
Right.
That's
No,
that's the difference.
don't get me wrong, I'm not against decentralization. I like decentralization. I just believe right now that whilst there is a change and a movement happening and there's a progress, and there's been quite a lot of progress in the last 2 years, especially I think in terms of the acceptance of Bitcoin by the wider society, right? That there are still certain limitations, and if you have an economic crash in the next 12 to 18 months, I'm not entirely sure that Bitcoin will be. I think it's probably more like a 5-year track before Bitcoin is as widely accepted as currency, because the powers that be in the Feds and central banks don't want that to happen, and will
But
are
this is
trying
like
to hold it back as much as possible, right?
you're talking very old information. Like I dropped a few. Was it yesterday or someday? I dropped a video in a Lighthouse chat with the guy explaining what's going on in financial systems and with all government institutions coming together now and figuring it out Bitcoin because they need to, and they start
Yeah,
playing
but
with it.
ever seen the government institutions or international institutions move quick?
No,
No. So do you think they're going to move as quick as in 12 months to, kind of accelerate and accept Bitcoin on the same level as they accept the euro or the pound or the
but
dollar?
that's why it's up to us. So
imagine imagine there is nothing else to exchange because the dollar is devalued, the euro is bullshit, the rest is completely like it's a piece of paper, not even that. So like at some point we're gonna look into it with the clear eyes, and you're gonna see, hey guys, what do we do in this situation? Because my dollar is bullshit, your euro is bullshit. How do we speak? Because we're gonna need to find a language, right? And the language I choose to speak, the value is Bitcoin. So like, and that's just the time and knowledge will bring that to the table. Like there's not even like, yeah, like, and the whole economical bubble that is going on now is collapsing. It's already fucked up. It's already fucked up so big time that is like it's not even possible. It seems like to go even more. So it's already collapsing. We don't have to go anywhere. What Bitcoin is going to do is going to catch it for the first time. There is something that we can actually bounce off. Otherwise, we would experience the collapsing civilization as it happened many times before.
Yeah, I agree.
What's valuable here too is to start recognizing that maybe in exchange of the ways that we choose to operate and to adding value to different communities, developments in terms of service and products, to now start receiving Bitcoin instead of dollars, to start asking for Bitcoin instead of dollars. And so now that creates a whole new level of exchange where you're not actually needing even a bank. You don't even need a bank. You just ask for Bitcoin, right?
Good.
And so now we start actually saying, hey, we're not even interested in receiving dollars. We're not even interested because it has no value. So the only reason that the central banks and dollars and all these things are working is because most people are using it. If we stayed on exchanging shells from, seashells from 1,000, plus years ago, then we would have still been selling seashells to each other, right? But the reason is that, this is what happens. Propaganda happens and things change because on a global economic system, we start utilizing. But that's why I believe personally that energy companies are the real banks, because energy backed by the natural resources, this is what starts to create and change power. But I don't know why, and I imagine that my hallucination is that they're scared still because they are unaware of the depth of how far it goes, and usually that happens by knowing yourself. We can then influence others. But I was there in the energy companies, and it didn't matter how loud I was speaking. um how much logic it takes. Fundamentally, what they bring back is, hey, what is the financial thesis? And I mean, Ross, you sat with me with Paul from the UAE, and you heard his questions, that these guys really need clarity. And yeah, and that's it.
I completely agree. I agree that there needs to be a decentralization. I agree that banks are flawed and that banks should be finished, in my opinion, because they do no value except for create greed and destroy people, is my personal opinion, for their own personal greed. I personally, my hallucination is that before the economic crash happens, the banks and the Fed and everyone will be still reticent to really push Bitcoin out as a commodity, as a value, as a type of currency that they accept. They slowly started to accept it in certain things, like as an investment pot for people, and to use as an investment pot. I understand how the value of Bitcoin is semi-calculated. I do personally believe that in a world economic crisis, whilst it won't maybe have the same severity as everything else, there would be a devaluation just because people will need to sell to create uh, some form of monetary ability to live. And it is quite possible that on the back of a massive economic recession, that decentralization happens. I don't think it would happen before the recession. I think it would be personally as a result of the recession happening globally that everyone then goes, hang on a minute, we need to change the way we do things. And it's a wake-up call. Humans that are usually slow to react and to change generally until it slaps them straight in the face, and especially governments and
Do you think
people
that
who
Sorry, do you think that we can be proactive as a community and build the infrastructure necessary so that when that does
yeah.
happen, we can be prepared and say, hey, come to the Lighthouse. We can help you create this massive value and exchange so you can be part of an infrastructure that is already prepared for you and
Yeah,
integrated.
yeah, of course. Why not? Someone has to be a visionary and has to be the vision holder, right? And see
That's
these
right.
things happening and coming to it, right? And have to provide a solution for society and humanity. The the big problem right now is maybe it's just my personal slight negativity or not believing that most people in power of the finances of the world and in governments and in politics are exactly what they should be and who they should be. I believe that most of them are corrupt and greedy and don't necessarily have the right values and morals. And I think that the world's political situation and the world financial situation is just one big mess that it needs to completely collapse and be broken up to be rebuilt in a new way, is my
So
personal hallucination, really. And it's my personal opinion.
by the way, I think that this is very a valid reason, because we've had all the tools, technology, resources available to really change the world for thousands of years, but what we've been missing is the leadership. So my perspective is that it's actually not even about it's not even about the financial sectors, and it's not about the governments, it's about the people. And so if we
Yeah,
educate more of the people and we start recognizing that as the people, and this is one of the things that I really anchor off the top. This is why really believe, first of all, that Tony is bringing us together, because what he's doing is harmonizing the energy of our frequencies to encourage that, from my perspective, that we can actually follow our passions and dreams. And so I believe that it's actually the community, the Tony Robbins, the Joe Dispenzas community, that is going to be the one that changes the nature of what's possible on the planet, because we are the people that are focused on being able to integrate and create an infrastructure of absolute change. And so from that change, hello? And so from that change, we'll be able to and from people's change of influence, we'll be able to take even more responsibility. So it's actually not even about the governments. It's not about it's about the people that are encouraged. And this catalyst, thankfully, most of our teacher, or most of a person that we all really have spent time in some way, shape, or form listening to, has created a path where we can come together and stand on his shoulders and build something meaningful as the next generation, and cultivate this infrastructure of change. And I believe it's that community that's going to really change the world. That I believe it's not only the Platts and the Lions, but also all the people that have ever gone through Tony's work, that actually have integrated it into their experience of life. Because Tony teaches, ultimately, is sovereignty, is autonomy, is understanding that you can create your own life based off of a life of design. And then as a result, by us coming together, we can collectively be the infrastructure of change on a global capacity that influences and supports each other, so that we become the organism of possibility versus a centralized organization or government that is manipulating the people or focusing on the state. So meaning, there's this great book by Frederic Bastiat. It's called The Law. And this book is written in the 1800s. And it's a fascinating response to what natural law is versus the state, and how what Tony teaches is really focused really around the sovereignty or the autonomy, but the law of nature, the law of who we are, and like we are part of such an infinite, abundant essence, right? Which is again what Tony brings us back to. So on top of that, how the state or government communicates that most people are part of the state. So, you get your birth certificate, you get your, all these things. And then as a result, you are part of the state. So there's a separation here that we can stand on top, that helps us recognize that actually it has nothing to do about the governments. It's about encouraging each person to recognize that they are part of a bigger whole. And if they start realizing that they work something for greater than themselves, then we can harmonize at that level of frequency and start to integrate a way more meaningful infrastructure for the next generations. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's very high level, but I hope it resonates with you guys.
Makes sense a lot.
I have also another perspective, that there's a whole big group who doesn't see it that way and will react the old way. And that's why we will have a deep recession. And that's why also Bitcoin will go down, because those people has leveraged, has lent against it. And they need to pay, and because they need to pay, they need to sell. And when you need to sell, the price will go down. And it will be inflation protected if you don't need to sell. But when you need to sell, when you're forced to sell, that's why you don't never, ever lend to buy stocks, because then you're forced to sell when they're low. And that's why Ross said you need to be in cash so you can live through the recession. And then what I just looked at the S&P, it's skyrocketed after 2008. It's 6 times up. And
Why?
it's a big balloon we are blowing up.
Right. So it's the inflation.
It's inflation. It's printing money. It's
Thank you.
and
Oh, the same.
and it's
Yeah.
it's I'm always curious how does where does this end? Is it 140%? Is it 2 times your product gross national product you can lend? America, where is it? It's 150% at the moment. The Netherlands
there is no the thing is that there is no accountability in that sector at all. Like the central banks are not audited since the day they were found. So there is nobody knows exactly what's going on. There is nobody checks the bottom line in anything there. There's no bottom line. So it's gonna continue as far as we people gonna use that currency for exchange. But as soon as we're gonna learn more through practice and painful experiences, we're gonna choose what is stable, what's been stable for years. And now we have Bitcoin as a reference point for that. That is gonna be our language if the Bitcoin remains doing what is designed to do. So like as soon as it's gonna continue, as soon as we're gonna not accept it, as soon like it's gonna stop.
But I think the next crisis comes too soon because you can't educate the whole world on a new system in that way. So it will be organized around the old system. So there is a lot of necessary selling. People must sell because the bank ordered them to sell. And that's what the crisis is. It's everybody. It's like it's a behavior of human. They're afraid, they're fearful, and they sell. And that behavior will still be the same in the next crisis, because they don't have an escape. They don't. Not everybody sees the escape island.
I disagree. I disagree. I believe that it's very important to educate a human understanding, to recognize that there is no fear, that fear doesn't exist. This is why Tony is doing what he's doing, and to encourage people to recognize that everything that is a fear tactic and that has been built on fear for the last hundreds of years is actually just turn it into faith, and we can create a change. And these opportunities, which is what Tony brings to all of us, allows us to step into a higher sense of being, so that from that place you can focus on creativity. And when these experiences show up, people can not worry and come together to solve a bigger problem.
Yes, I understand that will be a possibility, but there are lots of people are with 2 legs in the old world. Let's call it the old world. Not everybody is at that level, and you can't bring everybody at that level at that speed. It's impossible.
And
so I
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that
it's possible. It's everything is possible until it's done, but I'm very curious how that will work out. I personally believe
it's already playing itself out, and it's playing itself out. If you just tune in, and you can see what's going on in America now with the Bitcoin adoption, it's happening big time. Salvador has already adopted Bitcoin as a first country, and the countries will start copying each other, right? Like we need just a few examples. Just imagine what happens if America, what Trump has said, like starts putting Bitcoin in the Treasury Reserve. What it means, they are fully acknowledging it. Otherwise, we cannot do it. So once that happens, the rest of the Europe is going to run behind. The China is gonna start competing on Bitcoin. The Russia will start doing the same. So it's just like, and the side effect of that competition is just robust decentralized network. So we all benefiting from that. So this, as soon will people realize that it's unstoppable, it's just gonna do its things anyway. And people are very like, not many people go educate themselves or in Bitcoin for 3 years full time. Like this is just happening now in this decade or in this. It's not gonna happen for long. People not like gonna go into trenches to understand how the system works. We're just gonna be using it. Like it's not means that everybody needs to understand it. It's the same with the phones. None of us here understands how the phone works fully, completely, but we are using it because it's the best technology now. What we have.
Now, I would like to believe that.
And this is like this is where it becomes very interesting. Like and you know, like this, like we all have those beliefs. And now what do we do with those? Do we continue believing that and not doing anything about it because of based on beliefs? Or do we actually put our minds into focus and, hey, okay, we have this system. We have something that is changing the world, and then continue doing that. Should we join? Should we join now, or are we gonna choose? We're gonna be chosen. You know, now we can choose it.
And this is the essence of true economics, right? Is the ability, the principles of true economics is the decision to actually take our life and implement human action based off of a system that is actually already there. So instead of us trying to create something that we think is even more different or possible somewhere else, focusing on what's we're already built. So for example, you know, Tony's already built a great community. Why would we start to want to build a separate community instead of standing on his shoulders and harmonizing that existing community that has the knowledge, the awareness, the leadership to then create? On top of that, the same thing is with the Bitcoin ecosystem. So they've already built, you know, Satoshi Nakamoto already built something that is prepared, beautiful, built from zero to $100,000 in 15 years. Never has a asset class been able to go that in the history of the planet. And instead of believing what's possible and seeing, hey, by us being involved in something that is growing at this level of scale so fast, we're questioning it. And this type of questioning actually starts to then ask yourself, where are you questioning yourself? Because here is the infinite possibility. It's growing. Never in the history of the planet has an asset class grown from 0 to 100,000 ever. So we have to ask ourselves, why is still fear being associated with something that may be volatile when there's an actual solution to back it with the energy of our planet, the energy of the infrastructure that can be correlated and backed, store that energy and then utilize it so that our children and our children's children can actually be part of a fiduciary responsibility, so that we can step into, you know, what Tony calls the, you know, in wealth mastery, going into really financial independence instead of or financial vitality first, then going into independence on a global level, on a macro level, not anymore on a micro level.
But the thing is, so what I believe, especially in like markets, there's always buying and selling, right? So we always have a winner and loser. So when someone
this is old paradigm thinking. If you think that there's always a winner and a loser, this is a very old way of thinking, brother. It doesn't need to be. Business redefined can actually be focused on everybody winning at the table. This type of thinking of being a winner and a loser in business, this is old, man. This is what has created slavery and created wars and integrated a lot of philosophies that are no longer accepted or welcomed. And so my suggestion is to really upgrade that thought process, because it doesn't need to be a winner and a loser. Everybody at the table can win together.
That's what's interesting with the Bitcoin. It changes the perspective, changes the mindset. It completely breaks there's a paradigm shift. And I just dropped a link. It's called 20 priced in Bitcoin 21.com. And in that website, somebody collected all the assets of the world, all the currencies and everything, and you can see it's kind of a cheat sheet. Once you know that, you cannot not know. So be careful watching it. There is like a five years record. You can see how everything is falling compared to Bitcoin. So you can you can just check it. Somebody did the work.
All right.
Yes,
But I also
I certainly believe that, but I think I also a numbers guy. The numbers who know this and act on this are too small. There are big numbers who will act from the old paradigm. And I don't see now a fast path towards that.
What do you mean?
What
What
I
do you
mean
see?
is that how I see the current economic world is like a piece of paper. What you call a piece of paper, and the dot is the material, real economic. The rest is thought of economics. Business on business on business on business, printed money and created money, created money, created money. But that business still exists, and people have positions in that realm, and they need to pay.
So
when
if you're
the money is lost the value, because when you have a crisis, the money lost the value, and you didn't back it like this with a Bitcoin solution yet, then you're fucked. You need to pay.
Yeah. Yes,
and I think there will be lots of people who are in that situation.
Yeah, and you know, there is a saying, ignorance is a choice.
Yes.
So the more people will choose to ignore, the painful the lessons is gonna be.
Yeah,
because the lessons
exactly.
has been repeating for the last 15 years and teaching people a lot. And people who think they understood the thing, in the end, pays the biggest price and suffers the most. Yeah. so
one of the things, just so that, because I know you're a numbers guy, if you look at silver and the market asset cap right now, I believe it's like 1.8 trillion.
Who is that? Silver,
I believe, is like 1.8 trillion, and I believe Bitcoin is 1.7 trillion.
1.
So
9,
really
1.93.
Bitcoin or silver?
Bitcoin is almost 2.
So now, so just so we're clear now, so it just beat the value of silver at a market cap. Okay. So that is a huge indicator of the numbers that you're needing to qualify. So if the market capitalization of Bitcoin is above silver, something to think about.
And I'm dropping another good, if somebody is nerding here, so this is the time chain calendar for Bitcoin I just dropped in. You can see a lot of numbers there. So this is the mechanism of Bitcoin in the second link I proved. It has all parameters. It's the way it's taking the price, and yeah, it counts the blocks and shows all what's going on.
Then I have a question and a bit of a observation. The observation is more of like, I think we can all talk about, we all think something major will happen, some kind of crisis or so. The biggest question of, or if is in that case, is when it will happen. I think we won't agree on when it will happen at all, and who knows even. But am I correct in saying that the path to being able to prepare for this crisis and the path to move forward are the same path?
What do you
Or
see
is
the
there
path?
a
What do you see the difference
between
between the path and the path?
Do you want to elaborate? Yeah.
a path to prepare oneself for a upcoming crisis and the path to move towards the ideal future? Perhaps like what's the in the case of what steps needs to be taken?
I would say, like, for me, it's like grounding into reality around, adding value to people as much as I can, left and right. So it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. I am supported. I support now. Learning skills, if there is needs to be learned, how to make a fire, like
I
how
have
to
a
cook.
perspective. I would say utilizing our passions and the things that we're really strong at, and utilizing it into a new infrastructure, and to build a new infrastructure, or to add value to a new infrastructure that is going to create a lot of change. So I see it for me as, merging ecosystems and merging business and acquiring business so that we can harmonize a new type of philosophy inside of these cultures in terms of business ownership, so that there is more acceptance of Bitcoin, there is more exchange of Bitcoin, there is more utilization of Bitcoin. And as a result, that's backing, whether that's investing in Bitcoin organizations, energy companies, developing, and harmonizing capital that really creates community changes and supporting community developments, because that will create more sovereignty inside of communities, so that whether we're in Africa, Brazil, India, wherever, they become self-sustaining, and they're not needing to be focused on a global, asset class that is manipulated, but because now there's a global asset class that is decentralized. This is my perspective.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed from all of us talking here is that we actually are all pretty aligned. It's just a question of differentiation. So we all believe that the global economy and the global political system needs a massive shift and it needs a massive change. We all believe that Bitcoin is one of the potential opportunities for the future. We all believe that, we need to, spread the word and to get out there and to start to push so that people start to see that there is a different paradigm to the one that exists currently out there that is flawed, and that there is a movement growing towards that, and we need to support that movement. I think it's just the bits that we don't necessarily all agree on is the timing and when and how it's going to happen. But we all do see that, the route we are at the moment, the entry essentially, and what the exit looks like. It's just a bit in the middle that I don't think any of us can agree on, because we don't necessarily know exactly when, how, and what is going to happen, if that makes sense. But coming back to,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, coming back to you, what you're saying, Matt. The best thing is to, I think is to, for us to keep learning, for us to keep educating, for us to keep spreading the word, for us to follow our missions and our purposes, and to try and have a portfolio. I'm a firm believer of owning businesses and owning businesses that are probably recession proof. So, and it's about looking at what is recession proof and what is needed in new world order when that happens, right? And so we know that we need to improve our climate, we need to improve our energy, we need to improve our food sources. So and we need to focus in terms of driving the mission and the purpose to vulnerable places in the world and support them and build those communities up. And so it's focusing on all of that so that, when the cookie does crumble, so to speak, we can put the cookie back together, is my personal opinion.
Oh. Ronald, you muted.
Can't hear you, Ronald.
Let me give another perspective, the perspective of the bookkeeper.
Yes.
The bookkeeper.
It's ironic because technically I'm a bookkeeper as well.
What a bookkeeper does is in a double system, it keeps track of value. And value you can qualify at 5. There are only 5 qualifications. It's already an asset, a liability, it's a cost, it's a revenue, or if you don't know it, it will be your own money. That's the 5 categories we have. And when we have a crisis, there will be a shift of values. Everything you think owns something will crash because the market will do that. It's a pattern. What Tony teaches us, it's a pattern what's going to repeat. And when everybody starts to sell, you get a fire sale and prices go down and values go down in the real world. But there's also an imaginary world surrounding this, and it's much, much bigger. If you see the movie Get Shorty, or you see there's a bed, and behind the bed there's a bed on the bed, and behind that there's a bed on the bed behind the bed, and it's with billions, trillions on the transaction. Does Ronald eat his bread or not? And he starts not doing it. So now they lose the money, and it's imaginary, but in the real world, it comes down to a real value on a balance sheet somewhere. And how do we transfer the values? The values are transferred by a temporary value like a dollar or Bitcoin. But the underlying value is a company, it's a house, it's a car, and those things don't change when you have a crisis. Only the pricing of it change. And my belief is that the patterns of the people will repeat itself.
It's interesting that you say the real value is on balance sheet, where the real value is in the asset. It's in the commodity.
Yes, but the balance sheet is the record of it.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's the real value is the property itself. And you can look at the car. You can see it as an asset when you can sell it, but it's also a liability because you have to pay costs. Mm-hmm. It's the way you look at things. And the perspective of a new safe haven in the store of value. I look at the Bitcoin. It's a safe store of value. That's one of the functions of money. Mm. The other two are you can calculate and you can pay. You can do transactions.
Durability. Also, there is like 6 or 7. I cannot pull it now down. That makes the money.
I don't totally understand the graphic you sent, but we can talk together about that. The circles, but yeah, I don't see at the moment, if we get a crisis tomorrow, that history won't repeat itself.
Something is sharing screen. What's going on?
I don't know. Ronald just asked me to do something. So one of the thing that I would see you later, brother. Have a good one, Mark. So one of the thing, if you believe that history is going to repeat itself, my question is, why would you allow it to?
Because I can't change it myself.
So then
I,
that's the story that you choose to tell.
no, I
Well,
don't.
if you say that you can't do it yourself, or you
No,
can't do it
I'm
with
not
a
saying.
group of
No, I
people,
don't say that. I look at that.
but you
I
just
look
said
at this.
that.
Yeah,
So
but you.
what
I
are
need
you
to
saying?
explain myself. What I'm saying is, I look at it like a stoic. It's a mechanism I can't change. It's just I see this will happen.
But that's the
It's like
story you're telling yourself.
it's the pattern I see.
Right. So
And
do you remember, if you recognize patterns, you can start to utilize patterns to create a new pattern?
yes, of course, I can do that, but I can't change other people using the old pattern. And that's what
100%.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I can't influence. I have my circle of influence. Above that, I can't change how other people will react to this.
But at
So
the same time you do changing people, educating with the financial education kids. So you
Mhm.
do a lot.
Of
right.
course, yes, you start where you can.
So if you had a different perspective where you could actually believe that you could change the patterns, would it be possible that you could influence the future and uh, actually create a pattern interrupt so that it doesn't have to repeat itself?
Yeah, I don't see it yet.
Okay, so maybe it's because you don't feel like you can do it. Maybe if you choose to step into the experience of feeling like you can make the impact in the children or in the future or in 100,000 children that you choose to, then that ripple effect will actually start to create a new pattern, and it won't repeat itself because you've taken and devoted your life to showing an example of your life versus a warning.
I try to be the example.
Well, you don't, there's no try. It's just doing.
I know. That's why I use that word. That's only doing. But the paradigm you shift your yeah, I would love to see that, but I
Then
don't see
it's
the
about,
path to it at the moment.
but this is exactly what we're discussing, is taking the human action and recognizing and choosing a responsible path of recognizing the principle of economics, of devoting our time and energy and our reverence to what we choose to change.
And also not seeing it doesn't mean that it cannot exist.
Oh no, of course. That's why I'm saying it like that. I don't. But then I react from the perspective I have at the moment, and I think that the people will react how people will react.
Ronald,
So
I think, if I may, Ronald, I think you're already making the change. I think even though you're not seeing, like what Sigita said, is like you are already making the change, and your level or range or of influence is spreading in the most critical aspects of our society, which is children. Like you released a book for children that teaches about finance and spreads that awareness that we don't have, or we didn't have, or some adults don't even have. So I think your level of influence is already way more powerful than you might think, just from listening to the conversation and what you're doing.
yeah, but the numbers are big.
But
Yes.
you're sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. My apologies.
No. I mean, it's like the numbers are enormous. It's an undertaking. Like what we're trying to do is change the world, and you are that influence already. Like I know it's hard to see, but that the mindset, where you chose to change that, is at that critical stages of children. And I think it's like you might not see it maybe in a year or two, maybe 5, maybe decade, but the changes happen over generations or maybe within one generation only. So I think you already and the effects are going to be seen down the road, not immediately. That's what I see. I mean, it's beautiful. That's my 2 cents.
Okay,
There is the
thank you,
saying, you
thank
know,
you.
for butterfly, it's difficult to see its wings, or it doesn't see its wings, right? So, yeah, Ronald, your wings are beautiful, and you're doing it.
Thank you, thank you.
Not trying.
No, I'm doing. But there are 8 billion people in the world.
Yes,
So
and that's
there-
why.
Brick by brick, brick by brick.
Yes. We're in
One
this
goal at a
together,
time.
brother. We're in this together. That's why that's why it's so important as a community we start to recognize that it is in the power of community that we actually start to cultivate an even more meaningful change.
You
Yeah,
know,
but
when
you need a system and a vehicle and and when you
This is-
change
this is-
from
this is
You're making.
Ronald, you're seeing the problems where solutions is being presented to you and shown, and you just
Exactly.
need to prioritize the time and watch those videos, what I sent to you. And then I'm looking forward for you releasing the second version of the book, because it's gonna be the second version. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna understand a lot that you don't know. And it's that's the way it is. We all tripping on the same. We all going for the same, and it is like, yeah, it's another universe that is already existing.
Yeah. The vehicle's there, everything is there, brother. You just gotta observe.
yeah, but I'm not seeing it right now.
But you're not, because you're not putting it as a priority. We spoke about in the last call, you have other priorities, and that's
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to do anything. There's no expectation, brother. Like you do you, and it's perfect the way you do. You're gonna look into it when you have a priority, when you're gonna have a need, you know. That's the way it is.
The beautiful thing about life is there's so much that we don't know that we don't know.
Exactly. So I'm well aware of that. So I
There is this,
don't.
like, we throw around the word, sorry Ronald for interrupting, but we throw around the word decentralization, but it's a deep word, and it takes a lot of time to unpack, and I don't know where's the bottom in that. But it's a deep, and there is this saying that Satoshi, probably the only human on the planet Earth that was really available to think decentralized when he created Bitcoin. So it's there is something there. That's my 2 cents, as you say, Rybovsky.
Yeah, I'm in and out. I'm driving through mountains, so sometimes I'm I can't hear you guys well, but I assume that you said something that referred to my comment.
And if we can think of decentralization as a form of sovereignty or autonomy, it really can change the nature and the way that we choose to operate, because we all have something really unique and valuable that we give to the world. And so if the value is actually not in a balance sheet or an asset class, but in who you are and how you choose to show up with your actions, then perhaps the value is you. Perhaps the value is, it's not even perhaps, it is. This is the value of the true essence, of the true nature, of the true ability to show up, to do whatever is necessary, and to devote your life to something so much more profound, because there's absolutely zero fucking fear of what anyone thinks, what anyone says, what anyone chooses to do. And then you know that you're worthy. You know that you're valuable. You devote every inkling minute, because time is what makes us equal. What we choose to make with that time is actually the difference. And so the time is actually the most valuable part of our currency, and our actions speak.
So I have this situation when it comes to time and money relationship. I'm now hanging out a lot here in where I am, with the two guys particularly, and they are creating this new kind of factory for fire to burn the wood, and one of them is putting money, and another one is putting the whole time of building it, actually welding, measuring, figuring it out, like everything. And the one that is giving money feels very unseen, and the one that is putting the time feels also very unseen. So I'm hanging out with this, in this kind of what you just, Eric, said. Time is the precious thing we have, and person that is focused on money cannot see the time, sorry, cannot understand the value the other is putting in. He's saying, I'm putting €5,000, and that's a lot of money for him, and I understand that. But time is valuable more, I would say. Of course, the money he made with the time. So they both are equally valuable and equally important. One cannot exist without another, in other words, or exist somewhere else.
It's an exchange.
It's a transaction there.
No,
No?
I wouldn't say it's a transaction, because a transaction is horse trading. So I would say it's a relation in
Because
exchange
one
of
puts in
energy.
money, one puts in time.
But
And
they're
they
doing
create
it
something
together.
new. They
Yeah.
create something new. It's not an exchange.
The relationship has to be a priority there in any time, in any cost, like
Exactly.
as soon as somebody starts valuing more one thing than another, it's gonna go nuts. Like, one is gonna say, I'm putting all the money, I'm gonna need 80%. Another is saying, I'm putting all the time, I need 100%. Then so could be. It depends on the value, who understands the value of time and oneself, I guess. But I think it's the most healthy way. It's 50-50, no matter what. If we decide to go, we decide to go.
I agree. I think I've learned that it's so important to make sure that we're all going together. I've learned that even in times where we make mistakes, because I make the most of them, by the way, just so that we're clear. I will make the most mistakes.
So you want to be why is it important for you to claim that you are the number
Well,
one
because
of the mistakes?
I do it all the time. No, because I go out there and I do my best, and I make a lot of mistakes, and I've made so many in the past. And so the reason for that is because I'm very clear that when I make a mistake, my choice or my hope is that people don't choose to run away when I make those mistakes.
But how do you know that you are the one and the most?
Well, I guess history has taught me that when I make and step into a lot of mistake making and learning from those mistakes, by the way, some people choose to leave or push me away, and that's
So
okay.
in other words, they are making mistake in some way or shape or form. Would you agree? So they are having more mistakes than somebody else is making more mistakes.
Got you, brother. Got you. It's no contest. It's no contest. We
Yeah,
keep
it's
making
like,
mistakes
are we
until we
gonna
get
now
it done.
compete in who is making the most mistakes here?
Hold on, there's no competition here. There's no competition
Yeah,
here.
Oh, that
exactly.
would be easy. It'd be me. There's no competition. I'm the one that
Oh,
talks up all the time.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you.
I
My
have more
apologies.
years. I have more years. I have more years.
Oh, come on! Yeah,
That's a mistake. That's a mistake.
I love you, fellas, because it's very important. Maybe, and just so that I'm clear, in the past, when I would do things because I believed in them and because I continued to believe in them, I would experience loss because the other people around me didn't feel the same way. So their choice was to leave instead of figuring it out and harmonizing a conversation based off of differences of belief. And I really believe that thoughtful disagreement is what brings us closer. Because
and
for
maybe
me,
there is no such thing as leave, you know.
for me, the disagreement is what creates harmony and allows conflict to become a really meaningful exchange or discovery of oneself. So that's all I'm saying. So our choices are, how do we choose to come closer, or do we choose to separate? And it's not about being attached to anything. It's actually about being connected to everything. So when we are informed and we inform others, it creates an ability to learn more, to learn from each other.
Amen.
Mistakes, that's a really great topic to explore.
What would you like to share or explore?
Yes.
Bring it
Mistakes, I think one thing that stuck out is, by the way, if you lose me, you lose me. We're driving through the mountains. The mistakes is, in my case, it's helping people like understand themselves better. And I see when people do something, when I believe someone is good, which I believe that most people are, and they maybe don't have the awareness to understand something in the moment. I tend to knowing, not giving up on people, but knowing if it's worth pushing them, even though they don't get it, keep on pushing them to help them understand. Hello?
Yeah.
We're listening.
Yeah. So, for example, a friend that, a friend that's, I thought of a friend, right? And he thinks he's doing good, but how he does it is in a way where it's very forceful, very strong-armed. And I've seen already, like multiple people, is that he loses people in his life, the ones that he calls friends, because of not that he doesn't believe he's doing the right thing, and maybe wants to do right thing. It's how he does it. So in my mind, it's like, okay, I've seen the pattern where you've hurt and pushed people away. It's not because you don't think you're doing the right thing, and maybe you are doing the right thing, but you are doing it in a way where people might not be ready, or you don't have the empathy to be more gentle. It's just basically instead of gently replanting a plant to a more fertile soil, it's ripping it out and shoving it next in that soil. Yes, it's good for the plant. However, the plant probably doesn't want to be turned out like that. Does this make sense?
I'm trying to connect how all this related to the mistakes. You said
I believe that he's making mistakes by not with his intentions, but how he's doing it, the form of it. Instead of leading with the heart, he leads with the recalculated.
I think we lost him. Hello?
Hello.
Saturday evening, hey. So many of us hanging out here for so long. Yay! That's the longest session ever!
Party time.
Now you're back,
And
brother?
I'm back for a second.
Yeah.
Um,
You just start saying about the mistake and then took off.
yeah, I think it's maybe we should put a pin in it because I'm in an area where probably I'm going to be in and out. Does that sound good?
Yeah, to me.
My apologies, but I can't do anything about it right now.
All good, man.
Don't worry. Drive safe. Drive safe.
All right. Thank you so much.
What are you, Jacob and Gina, doing tonight? Saturday evening, hanging out here. What's
We're
up?
gonna celebrate
What are you celebrating?
our this year, I think. This whole everything we accomplished and everything we're doing.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, yeah. And we're actually at our summer place, so it's really nobody lives around here basically, but it's very nice.
Cozy.
So we're gonna it's gonna be cozy. It's gonna be just relaxing and having fun this weekend,
That's cool.
which is amazing.
Yeah, you are like a really good example of entrepreneurship. How you take care of each other, of oneself, go to celebrate. That's what I see the owners do.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's really important.
We are trying.
Yeah. So
You're doing it, not trying.
You are doing it. Come on, Dina. Get back. Back on track.
Yeah, we are doing it.
Yeah. It's gonna be so nice. When I
once we hang out somewhere else with a different crowd, it's kind of those are coming back, like trying, and there's a lot of trying around. So I get that.
Yeah.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
Yoda.
Show them.
Master of the universe.
Yeah. It felt so good when I woke up because it's like so quiet here, and we woke up and it was like I feel so relaxed. It's amazing.
Where is it?
It's outside of Gothenburg, Marstrand. So it's very nice. It's near the ocean and it's basically like on the countryside.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's very nice. So that's the plan, and I'm happy now. Like
that's what we were talking, Ronald, earlier, oh, that's what's on balance sheet as an asset. You know, like having something like this property on the coast, that's a good asset. Like, and it's not about the price all the time. It's about the value that we get. You know, like this moment of rejuvenation. What you're talking about, there's no price on that. So
well, you can't price in the experience. So that's you can't put an experience on the balance sheet. That's what Eric is talking about. Eric is talking about the experience, and I'm coming from the world of the assets, and that's my world where I live in. And I try to see the path to that world, but I don't see it yet. I see the world, but I don't see the path. What's the next step? That's my problem at the moment. And thank you for asking the question of mistake, because I recalculated my biggest mistake when I measure it in euros, and it wasn't not 170 million, it was only 10 million. So thank you. My biggest mistake dropped 17 times. Yes.
Yes.
Because I would have bought for 1,000 euros only 100 bitcoins in September 2012. It was 10 euros a bitcoin at the moment. So it was only 10 million I lost.
Well, this is not losing again. This is not losing. This is just the price of the lesson.
This is the price of the lesson. Sorry, excuse my language, Sigitas. Thank you for correcting me. Not my mistake. My biggest lesson. No, not my biggest lesson. My most expensive lesson was only 10 million. Only 10 million.
Exactly.
Only 10
yes.
million. I thought it was 170 million. But I recalculated now because I was looking at the values and the graphs, and so thank you. But I still need to know what will be my next step. So I'm looking forward to go to finance and see how they look at this situation. And what I did, I can tell you what I did to protect myself for the next prices is I stock up. From the things I need, and simple things like I like a certain perfume, I like a certain soap, I like a certain this. I have extra clothing. When the shit hits the fan, I'm good for several years. That's preparing that way. I'm now liquidating assets to free money. So I'm following Warren Buffett. He's also most liquid at the moment in years. So his behavior is for me a how you call that, a sign that bad weather is coming. So I follow his behavior. That's for me a very clear next steps to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the assets I hold are assets will be they can have the storm of a recession. So I own stocks, and I own stocks in companies who will rise up after the recession, because you can't blow away a factory. You can blow away a bank who has an asset and a liability of figurative assets, made up assets, not real assets, made up assets. And that's the world that's going down. And then there will be a new world built on a new system. But how the road to the new world will be, that's for me, I'm a very practical guy. What is my next step to get there? I see the vision, but I don't see the path. That's my status at the moment. So I need to have more information about Bitcoin. I got your video series, but it's only 24 hours. So
I asked you, do you wanna one short, but it's complex, and it's like we can try if you're gonna get it. I have 145.
I have 1:45
I
minute,
definitely
and I
will.
have another
I
task.
can. I will do that, but I will also
Yeah.
do the other one
Okay.
because I'm
Yeah.
the guy. I need to when the problem is if I don't see this, a lot of people don't see it. If I can make this clear for myself, I can be helpful to a lot of other people getting this clear.
Yeah.
Ronald,
Because a lot of people.
I think you would like to read. It's a guy named Bert Doman. He has done like financial analytics the past 40 years. He has a newsletter you can sign up to. It's like 70 euros a month, but he's really, really good and skilled in what's happening, and he summarizes it very well. But he also makes calls.
What's his name?
Bert Doman.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, I put it in the chat. He's actually really, really good at seeing what's happening in the market and what to do. So he's kind of trading, but not like day trading or anything like that. But he says like he sees signs in the market and he can say like, now you should sell your bonds and stuff like that. But he also says he actually predicted a Corona crash, and he talks a lot about when the interest went super high. It's as the same as in the 80s, and also like during the COVID, the only thing that was missing was a war in Europe, and then Putin went to Ukraine, and then we had the exact same situation. So I think that would be really interesting for you to read.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I dropped the video as well, link of the video I mentioned, the shorter version.
I will see that.
Paste what?
Oh, the links, because I'm disconnecting from Zoom. I lost the first link.
Sure. Dropping
Thank
it
you.
again. So it's also in WhatsApp.
Thank you. What time is it at your place, Sigtas?
And my place is now 2010, so 8:10 p.m.
8:10.
I'm 1 hour behind you, Sigitas.
Yeah, 7?
7:10. Yeah.
Tomorrow we have family day, Ronald.
Yep.
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to wake up early and we're going to see the race in Las Vegas. I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning for us, so 8 o'clock for you. No? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And a nephew will come, but my daughter doesn't like this, so she will get up late, and then yeah, we'll see. I think we'll walk the dog in the forest or something. That's what we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe visit the grandparents. We have a bucket with wishes. We take a note out of it and let's do that.
Ah, cool.
Not a rocket, it's a bucket, so it's almost good, eh?
Well, it also can fly.
Yeah. Yes. So and yeah, you can kick it, you can throw it. So that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. And I'm grateful that we had some extra time on this call because I was on another call scheduled, but the universe rescheduled the other one because we needed more time. We needed more time here.
Yeah, love it.
So I think that the challenge for us as a group is to bring the vision, to make it concrete in how how can we educate not in the vision but in the next step way, the path to the vision?
It's already there. It's about recognizing and identifying to work with the people that are already inside of these organizations, especially inside of the energy side, so that we can merge and acquire with them and educate them to then integrate. Because this is what I've been doing here in Canada for the last 8 months. And this is what I've been sharing for quite some time amongst them. So how they can really start to utilize the infrastructure and build it. And then from the infrastructure, be able to utilize and support community development and food sovereignty. So I don't know how much louder I need to speak it, but I'm able to send you the specifics if you choose to look at them. So
of course,
yeah,
this
path forward, hold on a second. This path forward is something that I've been talking about for quite some time, with a lot of eloquence and a lot of devotion and a lot of certainty. So it's the decision, if we choose to see it, and when it becomes open, how we can start to integrate it. So this requires a lot of fiduciary responsibility around to showcase the importance of making it happen. Because like you, there's many people out there that are looking at the numbers. And unfortunately, not everybody like you is willing to look of the bigger picture. And it's important to have the right people around to do this with a lot of responsibility. So I'll send you what we have, and you can have a look at it.
Thank you. I will.
I gotta run, guys. I gotta go do the snow and shovel it. And I love you all. And we'll talk soon.
Much love,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a beautiful
Much
one.
love. Sending
Thank
out.
you for the day. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yes.